This is Shadow Fury Season 3 with the second day of the round of 16 of the Temporal Anomalies Season 1 tournament. This is a second match since we had some issues with scheduling on the Saturday. So we were a bit delayed, unfortunately, when it came to actually setting everything up. But now we have everything set up, so we have another replay here of the one match we haven't had played yet. Unfortunately, there were a lot of scheduling conflicts between the players, so we had to, unfortunately, regrettably disqualify Sickles due to scheduling issues because he wasn't able to play his game throughout the entire last week, which was the time we're playing the game. So currently we have seen Haiku beat Chronaberrant 2-1, and Hisui and Pickley both forfeited out of just forfeiture. They decided they didn't want to play. Pickley, I believe, has some confidence issues, but generally speaking, it's just both games are forfeits. And we have Grrnonameleft versus Numbers as the current matchup. So, just you can see for each player, we have Grrnonameleft, who is largely a Vecgir player, versus Numbers, who's also largely a Vecgir player. First map being Village de Saint-Antoine, and we shall be starting the game pretty shortly. As you can see, Numbers, he's a rather newer player. He is really good at defense in general. He's really good with Vecgir, just knowing how to use Vecgir abilities and making the most of what he can do with whatever he has. He's also very fond of rapidly expanding across the entire map, which of course is a bit of a risk because that does mean he could overextend himself, but it is still a really interesting opening strategy. Grrnonameleft, on the other hand, tends to be a bit more defensive at first, but then try to take advantage of his opponent if they've overextended themselves too much. So it's going to be a very interesting match between defense and massive expansion, and we'll see how it goes. So the first game, start with the replay now. So we have, see here, very first match, Numbers, Grrnonameleft. Numbers is in the bottom right corner, Grrnonameleft is in the top left corner, just call him Grr for now. And neither has chosen their race quite yet. Grr is going for Vecgir, Numbers is also going for Vecgir, so both their favorite race in the moment. And Numbers is going for, looks like an economic start to begin with, while it's not clear what Grrnonameleft is going for. He's also going for economic, so both players are going to build up their initial 6 RPs in their base, not going for anything really risky. Actually, never mind that. No, Numbers is actually, looks like he's going to attack with his initial infantry and an extra. Yes, it looks like, no, he's going to his natural with his infantry. He probably is going to be attacking with that. I don't see any reason otherwise to go to your natural with the infantry. While Grr is continuing to build up RPs and just set up his base as normal. So, Grr is going to be, Grr is, like I said, going to be setting up a more defensive base, as I mentioned before. That's generally his style. And Numbers is coming in very quickly with a rush. He's, going to the center of the map. He's likely to be attacking directly. He's bringing one of each type, and it looks like an extra Zionveer as well, but it's a bit hard to tell, unfortunately. Another Zionveer going straight to the natural, probably to help expand a bit more, and the main base is being filled out for Numbers. Well, Grr has started building more QPRPs, so he has 5 LC, 2 QP, and sending out his scouts as well, his Shin and Tethveer. While Numbers, like I said, sending out his forces, just about to get to Grr's base. This is about a minute up from Grr. And Numbers, I believe, is fast-forwarding right now, too. Well, Grr is just building what he can in his main base, doing not too much risky, very safe. And Numbers is actually building a foundation in Grr's natural, probably for a depot or something. But looks like Grr is going to be there about a minute down from where Numbers is, or when Numbers is. So Numbers has a foundation coming up, but it may not last too long. While, on the other hand, Grr is probably, is he building his expansion? I don't think so. I think he's realized that Numbers is going to be coming up and is trying to set up to defend. But it's going to be rather difficult. And a depot has been built when Numbers is, and Grr's actually building a second annex. I don't know if that was a mistake or not. That's kind of unusual, unless he wants to build a ton of infantry to counter. But I seriously doubt that, since Vecgir infantry aren't the best. They're really great for getting vehicles, but they're not great for infantry of their own. And now he sees Numbers forces coming in. Well, now we see Numbers forces coming in. Grr is actually about a minute down from here, and Numbers is about a minute and a half up. So for Numbers, he probably has built quite a few vehicles now, and Grr is going to be having to deal with this. He likely knows already, since that would be on the green time wave. And yes, from Numbers' point of view, he has built vehicles. He's built 2 Zion Pulsars and 1 Teth Pulsar, which will likely be assaulting Grr's base with. So a very fast proxy depot. I guess it's as close as you can get to cheese on Achron. And also building a couple more foundations. Wow, he's basically going for a solid base inside of Numbers. Numbers is going for a solid base inside of Grr's expansion. Grr, on the other hand, has a scouting force attacking Numbers, which is going to deal a bit of damage, but really that's not where Numbers is focused right now. And it's really rather interesting. At the same, well, about a minute down, it looks like we have Grr actually building an RP and starting to expand in that natural. And the RP is actually being assaulted quite heavily by Numbers back when he is about a half minute up. And now Grr's gone down half a minute to prep his defense, building a depot instead of the annex. I thought it was a mistake. So he now has a proper depot, and he will be likely building vehicles from that, probably Zion Pulsars, to take care of the incoming forces and stop this harassment, because this is a really interesting little cheese build, but with Achron you can't really do interesting little cheese builds, because if you do them, then your opponent just knows they're coming and will counter them. The only real cheese build you can do is an unplayable past attack, do an attack that's at the border of the unplayable pass, but even then, that's kind of tricky to pull off. And here we go, so Numbers still coming in. Grr has not set up his defenses quite yet on this iteration, but he likely will very quickly. He has Zion Pulsar. Yes, Zion Pulsar is coming in and dealing a lot of damage. Getting rid of the Shinvir. The Zion Veer and Tethvir are still there. Up about a minute and a half, we see that Numbers is going to be attacking Grr, but that is an echo attack. That is not going to be permanent unless Numbers is able to save what he had before, back when we were looking for. Grr's Zion Pulsar is winning out the battle, so that will be saving Grr quite handily from Numbers' little proxy depot. But it's rather interesting because this proxy depot is not going to be... I don't know if it's actually going to make a difference for Numbers. I'm guessing Numbers is probably going to try his best to keep it in place, maybe just make the foundation and then let the Shinvir die. But really, that proxy depot is going to be hard to hold. He might be better off just building his main base, just completely switching out the strategy, because Grr is completely aware the proxy depot is coming in, and Grr is actually a bit late on the Zion Pulsar now. Looks like the Shinvir... Yes, he is going to build a foundation, so it's still going to try to go for that foundation, but I seriously doubt it's going to be very effective. And here we have the Zion Pulsar coming in, dealing a ton of damage to the Shinvir, which will now be healed by the foundation, but nowhere near fast enough to keep itself alive. The Zion Pulsars are very powerful units, and will probably be able to damage the foundation quite a bit in the process. So, Numbers at the same time is actually expanding. He has his natural starting to build up. He's getting the top right base also being built up. And Grr's natural still has a foundation in it. No depot yet, but likely that will become a depot very soon. And Zion Pulsar is being distracted by a couple of the infantry of Numbers, while a couple of Zion Veers are heading back. Yeah, so the Teth Veer got killed, distracting the Zion Pulsar, but the Shin Veer and Zion Veers are still alive, so the Zion Veers can become Zion Pulsars and deal quite a bit of damage, but I seriously that's going to be super effective as long as Grr actually pays attention, brings that Zion Pulsar back up, and will be able to get rid of that depot. So the depot has been built, and Zion Pulsars are very likely to be built very quickly. For Numbers, Grr... I don't know where his Zion Pulsar went, to be honest. He did have one. He seems to have... No, he still has it. He still has it on his ramp. It's hard to see. So, he has a Zion Churcher coming in as well. So, he's actually switched to Zion Churchers. And Zion Pulsar... Zion Pulsars for Numbers coming in, destroying the Zion Churcher. And here we are. About a minute down, we have Zion Pulsars and a Zion Churcher coming in to... Zion Pulsar, Zion Churcher coming in to finish off the depot. Zion Churcher completely cloaked, being able to get through this completely Oh, never mind! The foundation has come up, so the Zion Churcher is being detected. The Zion Pulsars can take care of it. So that Zion Churcher is going to have a really hard time actually dealing with the Zion Pulsars, but it looks like it's going to be able to destroy the Zion Pulsars in time. It's really hard to tell, though, because Numbers is focused further in the future, near the present, while Grr is focused down in the past, trying to really micro this battle. Numbers has actually taken the top right expansion, taken most of his natural, so Numbers is in a very good economic position right now, while Grr seems to be just trying to hold his main base and keep his natural under his control, which is not going well for him. The Zion Churchers are not doing well to take care of the Zion Pulsars. Auto defense is on, so there's Foundations and Depot attacking the Zion Churcher, and the Zion Churcher is not going to last long at all. So that Zion Churcher has completely gone down. The Foundation is pretty secure. However, there's no Annex coming up yet, which is really what Numbers needs right now. However, Numbers could also use a more secure main base as well, because he's not really getting a lot of tech. He's not getting a lot. He's getting a fair amount of economy, but really all he has is these Zion Pulsars. And yes, the Zion Churcher's in Grr's base. 5 Zion Churchers in his base, and that's going to be very hard to get through. Actually, it looks like 6 Zion Churchers in his base. That's a lot. So 6 Zion Churchers, that is going to be able to easily take care of 2 Zion Pulsars, and here they come. So they're coming up. Actually, a Zion Pulsar and Tet Churcher in there as well. So as you can see, a bit in the future, Grr will be able to take care of these Foundations. Numbers is trying to defend against it, but I'm not sure how effective it's going to be. He doesn't have an Annex there. He doesn't have anything to actually reinforce his vehicles. Start building more vehicles. He has a decent amount of QP, but not a lot of LC. He's really focused on spending his LC on expansion. He has no chrono energy left. He's really focused on microing this down, and Grr is just going for a straight attack move. He doesn't even have any worries about getting through this. So Grr's going to be able to really focus on microing elsewhere, while Numbers is... Actually, no, Grr's also running low on CE, so both players are down to the wire now for CE, trying to make the most of what few orders they have. And Numbers has actually made some use of it by making an Annex from that Foundation, but I doubt that's going to be of any use in the very near future, because that Annex will probably get killed before it's actually able to build up and be used for the depot. So the Annex has been built from Numbers' point of view, but from Grr's point of view, it is very vulnerable and it will soon be destroyed. So really, this is very temporally unstable, not very good causal structure from Numbers' part, but this is a cheese build, so that's kind of to be expected. Well, Grr's actually gone and done the same thing, built a Foundation in Numbers natural, and I'm not sure how much Grr's actually going to invest in that. Numbers has invested quite a bit of money and quite a bit of time into defending that proxy depot, but I'm not sure what Grr's really going to do with that Foundation. He really doesn't need it. He has a pretty solid main base. He needs to start expanding a bit more, though, because Numbers does have a lot of RPs set around, and Numbers has started building a solid main base, so Numbers doesn't need this proxy depot anymore, but that's still a lot of money that was spent that really didn't amount to a whole lot. I mean, sure, he did force Grr into a more defensive posture and to attack with more Zion-class units, but really, it's not that big of a deal. There wasn't any real permanent damage. Nothing of Grr's base was destroyed. None of his resources were denied. So really, it wasn't a big deal. It was just a bit annoying more than anything. Well, at the same time, Grr is actually pretty solidly up. He has a larger army than Numbers. He has a more solid base than Numbers. Numbers has a better economy, more RPs, but he's not spending a lot of that money right now. And this is pretty close to unplayable pass. So when he is right now, he's probably floating very heavily, which is about a minute up now. And when he is, yes, he actually does have this depot building up when he is. So he's kind of falling behind. Grr's really got to be able to capitalize on this advantage, though. He has the bigger army. He can go around, destroy RPs. He doesn't really need to worry about the depot. There's nothing coming in to build vehicles off that too heavily. Maybe just keep a Zion Pulsar there just to take care of it. But really what he needs to take care of is that expansion in the top right corner. He needs to scout it out, just send units around the map, figure out where the expansions are. I think he actually probably does know by now. He's taking care of the natural expansion pretty handily, but he hasn't taken care of any of the other expansions, and Numbers can use that really effectively to keep himself going. So, right now, okay, about a minute down from right now, we have Grr pretty handily retaking his natural, and now being able to expand to his natural, having pretty solid base, but no tech, while Numbers has auto defense and otherwise no tech. Actually, wow, Grr's actually getting some Shin Churches as well, so Grr will be able to really bomb out Numbers' base quite effectively. Numbers, on the other hand, is actually focusing a bit more on the unplayable pass, just double-checking what he can do back there, or near the unplayable pass. Sending out a Shinveer, it looks like he's got 2 of them, sending out one of them to the bottom left expansion, probably going to be setting up a... Just double-check his bottom left. Yes, his bottom left expansion, probably going to be setting up, and he's got a Zinveer as well, so he's going to be setting up an expansion in the bottom left as well as the top right. So, at this point, Numbers pretty much has all the side expansions. And Village de Saint-Antoine is not a particularly expansion-heavy map, so that's a fair amount of the resource percentage there. Well, Grr has pretty much sieged out Numbers' main base. He's taking the natural, and his own natural is quite secure. So now this is not going to be the best setup for Numbers. He's in about the same position that Grr was in before, except Numbers has better economy. However, he's not spending it. He doesn't have a depot built up. He doesn't have any infantry coming out of the annex. He does have gate tech built up, but he really needs to get units to actually chronoport with that. So he will be able to teleport around like mad, but he won't be able to chronoport anything. He has nothing to chronoport at this point. And a Shinchurcher has found the top right expansion and will start attacking it very heavily. Grrnonamelef's top right expansion is pretty much done for. He has no army to defend it. And sorry, Numbers' top right expansion is done for. Grrnonameleft is going to be able to completely destroy it. Numbers has no army to speak of. Grr has a fairly large army and will be able to quickly bring up forces to destroy it. A Shin Turcher has gone to the bottom left expansion, and a Zion Turcher and 2 Zion Pulsars have started attacking the main base. A Slipgate is also being built up right now, and both players are about the same time as each other. Numbers is taking heavy damage. His depot is taking a lot of damage, however, it's not going to be destroyed yet. Foundation has been built in the bottom left expansion, but the Shin Turcher is going to be able to take care of that very quickly, although it is being attacked directly, so that may be a problem. While the Zion Turcher and Zion Pulsars are dealing a lot of damage, Shin Turchers are coming up to take care of those units from Grr. 5 Shin Turchers coming in, going to be able to easily destroy this army. So Numbers will be able to defend. That depot it's hard to tell if it's going to last or not. Yes, it is. Okay, so it's going to probably last pretty well. The Zion Pulsars have been distracted by a foundation that's just been built, so that depot will be able to live, but that was very close. So that depot is fine. Numbers' base has been completely defended. He's taken some damage, but really, overall, no worse for the wear. Not lost any foundations, not lost any RPs. However, his top right expansion has lost RPs, and that is going to be a problem. While Numbers does have a lot of resources in the bank, he still doesn't have a whole lot of units, doesn't have a pretty large army. He's got a fairly decent anti-ground force, but he has nothing for anti-air. And the Shin Turchers that are flying around are going to be a problem for him. Not huge, but they are going to be a bit of an issue if Numbers actually get some anti-air forces, because, I mean, Shin Turchers will trade fairly evenly against themselves, of course, but that is not going to necessarily work out if he doesn't have the numbers, that is. If Numbers doesn't have the numbers, and if Grr has the numbers, if Grr has anti-air units, then Numbers is going to have a problem. So, Numbers is trying what he can to build up. Looks like he might actually be chronoporting back some of these Shin Turchers, but it's hard to tell. He does have the Slipgate set up. It would be a good idea to chronoport back the Shin Turchers, send some of them to the main base of Numbers. Sorry, some of them from the main base of Numbers to the main base of Grr, so that Grr gets hit right now by chronoported Shin Turchers while he's also defending his siege on Numbers. But I don't know if Numbers is actually going to be doing that. That'd be a really cute move, but I don't see it happening. It doesn't look like Numbers is actually jumping around the timeline in any way that would indicate chronoporting has occurred. So it looks like Grr has actually got map control now. He's completely retaken map control. Quite surprisingly, after that opening where Numbers basically extended across the map, like I said, Numbers has a tendency to overextend a bit, and Grr has a tendency to capitalize on that. So this will be very likely Grr's game unless Numbers is able to take back map control, because right now, Grr has completely obliterated Numbers' control over anything. However, it looks like Numbers either has lost all the Shin Turchers or chronoported them back, so it's quite likely that he will be able to deal quite a bit of damage further in the unplayable past. And Grr's Shin Turcher trying to come in, getting repelled by the Slipgate, trying to come in again, getting repelled once again. Further back, it has, just jumping back further in time, it has destroyed the base, so we see that Numbers doesn't actually have any expansions anymore, and Grr has the bottom left expansion, so Grr has pretty much swung this back to his favor. Numbers is going to have a very hard time swinging this away. Tet Turchers coming in, like I said, Shin Turchers and Tet Turchers do not work out well for Shin Turchers. Tet Turchers are anti-air units, Shin Turchers are bomber units. The Tet Turchers will completely obliterate the Shin Turchers. So that will not go well for Numbers. Numbers really needs to get some anti-air units if he wants to take care of these Tet Turchers, or just get ground units, focus on those. Trying to defend his top right expansion, getting rid of the Shin Veer that's there, but really that's not the biggest priority right now. Numbers really needs to be focusing on using the he has chronoporting. He has the QB to chronoport with. He should send back some units and actually deal damage to Grr in the past. Numbers can do this. He has the resources right now to do it, to really damage Grr in the past, but he's not taking advantage of this. And Grr, on the other hand, has taken full advantage of the fact that he's capitalized on Numbers' overextension, and now he has map control. So right now, Numbers is trying desperately to defend with 5 Shin Turchers and a Chronoporter, or Slipgate rather. And it looks like he's actually managed to do quite well. Oh wow, he's gone straight into the natural, and he's losing his Shin Turchers. Yes, The Tet Churches have completely obliterated the Shin Churches. This is, of course, further up. This is from Numbers' point of view. Currently, we're at Grr's point of view, which has the Shin Churches attacking the base directly. And it looks like the Shin Churcher has been... Yes, the Shin Churcher has been chronoported back. One of them, at least. But a lot of them were destroyed in that fight from Numbers' point of view, so... Right now, Grr is dealing a lot of damage. Probably will be able to destroy that Shin Churcher. A bunch of Shin Churchers are teleporting into Grr's base. Grr's natural taking care of the 2 RPs there, but that's just 2 RPs, not huge. The bottom left expansion is Grr's real expansion. That's where he really needs to be focused on actually defending. So, right now, Numbers has... He's teleporting his RPs to the bottom, to the top right expansion, trying to retake that. And about 2 minutes down, we see that Grr is still heavily assaulting. He has the Tet Churches coming in, Shin Churches coming in. His Natural's being attacked very heavily, but that's really not worth much in the grand scheme of things. Grr... Oh, actually, no. Numbers has actually teleported back a couple Zion Pulsars, but that doesn't really amount to much either. I mean, okay, a couple RPs, pretty good. You might want to teleport them out to another expansion, but really, those RPs are used up. They've drained all those crates. That's still... Like, Numbers is doing a lot of damage, but it's not a lot of meaningful damage. It's a lot of damage that really doesn't amount to much because it's not actually damaging things that are useful to Grr. They aren't going to tilt the battle in any way. So, while Numbers is dealing a fair amount of damage to meaningless things, Grr is dealing a fair amount of damage to meaningful things, destroying the Shin Churchers. It looks like he's actually going to be retaking the top right expansion as well, and he's taking the natural of Numbers. Numbers doesn't even have his own natural, let alone Grr's natural, which he was trying to take at the start. So both players, neither player has been content to sit in their own natural throughout this entire game, and it looks like Numbers, from his point of view, actually has a pretty safe expansion in the top right corner, but he doesn't have anything in his main. His natural has been locked out from him, and Grr pretty much has command of the entire map. It looks like he's actually managed to stop those Zion Pulsars from coming in as well. So, right now, Grr has Halcyon class. Numbers is getting Halcyon class a bit further in the future, but it doesn't look like either player is actually... No, they are using it. Yep, Grr is actually building a Zion Halcyon. He has specials as well, so he will probably be using Calm Jam very quickly, which will allow his Zion Halcyon to basically stop Numbers' forces from doing anything, or being commanded to do anything, rather, which will seal the deal for Grr. Zion Pulsar is actually teleporting in for Numbers, and it looks like a couple of Shin Churchers as well. This is a battle we saw before, attacking the natural, and nothing really in the past too much. Like I said, the chronoporting hasn't really come up for Numbers. I'm very surprised. He has a lot of QP, he can easily use it, but very surprisingly, he hasn't actually gone ahead and made use of that. Well, the Zion Halcyon is coming in, has skipped teleport. Oh, sorry, this is about a minute up. So, about 2 minutes down, we see that this is the attack that was going on. Zion Pulsars were chronoported back, but they don't seem to be used very much, so I'm not sure what Numbers was exactly planning on doing, but it looks like he was trying to defend and mistimed it, or trying to attack and forgot to do a Q in his chronoport. Anyway, Grr at this point has found the top right expansion, has been reclaimed. Actually, it's about 3 minutes down. The Zion Pulsars, having been chronoported back, still not doing anything, very surprising. Like I said, probably a Q mishap, misclick. And Grr, despite having teleport, is not actually teleporting a Zion Halcyon into Numbers' base. This is very surprising. He could just skip it right in and start Calm Jamming right now. That would just end the game, but surprisingly, no, he hasn't. He has the Chrono Energy, he has the Teleport Energy, but he's not going for it, which is very strange. And Shin Churcher going around to the top right corner to try to take it out again. So, really, Grr is just trying to play cleanup. Numbers is trying to stay alive as best he can, dying very hard, as players generally should. I mean, Achron's the sort of game where it can pay to die hard, because sometimes you have something going on, one of the early time waves, and it ends up actually saving your life and winning you the game. But in this case, Grr is really not cleaning up fast enough. And Numbers actually getting a couple Zion Churchers. He could easily chronoport those back, use this to support an attack, break the siege, get his natural back. But he hasn't gone and done that yet. Grr has actually started to take over the top right expansion again as well. So Grr has taken the top right expansion, or trying to, has the bottom left expansion, has Zion Halcyon right outside the natural of Numbers, not in the base yet to actually Calm Jam anything, but it should be going there soon, I would imagine. And Grr actually appears to be getting assaulted. Yeah, in the bottom left corner, he's getting assaulted rather heavily. Back at Numbers this time, so it's about 3 minutes up from here. And the Zion Halcyon back 3 minutes down. So in the present, 3 minutes up from when we were looking, Numbers is trying to retake the bottom left expansion, but that's really not going to do much good because the Zion Halcyon is going to be coming in, and Zion Turcher's actually coming in. Zion Turcher's coming in. Wow, okay, so the Zion Turchers are being teleported around. Not chronoported, mind you, but they have been teleported around back when Grr is looking, 2.5 minutes down from here. And they've swept around and are going for the bottom left expansion. So Grr seems to be losing the bottom left expansion, but really he's taken a lot of resources from there, so it's not a huge deal. The big deal is the Zion Halcyon coming in, which looks to be... It looks to be fixing to set off a comm jam. And, yep, there we go. The comm jam has been set off, no energy. Just double check that. So the two-it buildings foundation has been jammed. The annex hasn't been jammed. But I believe the depot and slipgate were jammed too. So that is going to be a bit of a problem for Numbers at this point. He really can't build with his depot. He can build from infantry and use those because the annex wasn't comm jammed. So it wasn't a complete sealing off from Grr. So Numbers still has a chance, but it's a pretty small chance. Shinbir actually gone north of the foundation. So another foundation has been built outside of Numbers' base in the middle of the map. Numbers is still trying to come back, but I really don't know what he can do with that. I mean, obviously he can build an annex and a depot and start building more vehicles and use some resources, but he hasn't got a lot of resources coming in. His top right expansion is being heavily damaged. He's starting to break the siege, though, with some infantry, but still not doing too much. Really, this is just because in the present, it hasn't... The Zion Halcyon coming in to help out hasn't caught up yet. Once that catches up, it's going to be impossible. Those forces are going to come in and get themselves killed. So yeah, the slipgate's been comm jammed, the depot's been comm jammed, annex hasn't been comm jammed, the ACC hasn't been either. So, I mean, Numbers could fire off a super weapon, he could fire off, or get more infantry, get specials and power if he wanted to, though I don't see the point right now. What he really needs to do is get a 10th Turcher or two to break the comm jam, but even then, that's not the biggest worry for him. I mean, the slipgate he doesn't really need to have communications to. I believe you can still... I'm not sure. You probably can still chronoport because you're not actually commanding the slipgate directly, and I know you can use the depot with infantry, or pretty sure you can use the depot with infantry if it is comm jammed. So, really, Numbers shouldn't be worrying about that. Numbers should be worrying about the fact that he has no resource flow, and he is trying to take care of Grr's expansion in the bottom left corner, but that's still not amounting to much right now. 2 Zion Turchers coming in, not dealing a lot of damage. Grr is pretty much just allowing Numbers to live at this point. I mean, Grr has not a lot of CE, but he has enough money to easily build an army to take out what Numbers has right now. He's just trying to finish off this expansion in the top right corner before going to the main base, but really, this is just Grr letting Numbers live. Like, Numbers is living by Grr's mercy. When Grr wants to, he'll win. Like, unless Numbers actually manages to pull a comeback, which he might, and which Grr really shouldn't be allowing, but at this point, Grr is basically just getting another Zion Halcyon in here, and probably will from here go for the final assault, but really, he's pretty much just toying with Numbers at this point. I mean, I don't know if he's intending to toy with Numbers, but he practically is. So, it doesn't look like there's going to be a whole lot happening in Numbers' favor, unless he's able to pull something out like really sneaky with a bunch of infantry and building up vehicles through the infantry, but really, other than that, there's really not much you can do. It's Grr's game right now, and it looks like these 2 Zion Halcyons are going to seal the deal. One of them is coming in, the other one is waiting in the natural. Numbers is natural, and will be attacking very quickly. So it's coming in, starting to attack the depot, and we'll try to destroy that pretty quickly, but it looks like it... No, we just got jumped around in time. Looks like the foundation has actually been rebuilt slightly north of the base, rather than far north of the main base, for Numbers, that is. It's in the bottom right corner, and... Yes, you can see here, the top right of the screen there. So, that foundation has been built closer to the base, and that probably won't be that useful, honestly. The Zion Halcyon can easily teleport up and just get rid of it. Zion Halcyon trying to fight off the Zion Pulsar, and Zion Pulsar is actually dealing a lot of damage. Like I said before, Zion Pulsars are very powerful units, mostly in terms of splash damage, but it has been destroyed, and Zion Veer trying to come up probably will get destroyed as well. So, a depot is being built up for Numbers, and another foundation is being built to the north of that, but... or northeast of that, rather. Northwest, sorry. Top left. But that's not really going to do too much right now. Like I said, Numbers really needs to focus on getting economy. That's like breaking a siege, getting economy, and right now I don't even know if he has the resources to do that. He's got a good defense set up, but he doesn't really have much to break out of what he's in right now. And it looks like, yeah, Numbers has declared, has GG'd, so that's Grrnonamelef's win, and well done to him. So that will be the first match, and nicely done for Grrnonameleft. So he has won the first game on Village de Saint-Antoine. So the next game is going to be on Hills, and will be played shortly. Let's see, it was red. Oops. Just one sec, just bear with me. And here we are. So the next map is going to be Hills. Oops. And we will be seeing probably a much different game. Hills is a much more economic map than Village de Saint-Antoine, has about twice as many resources at least, and so and it's also Numbers' favorite map. It's the one he's been practicing on a lot. So I expect to see a very different game on this map. I don't know if Grr knows how much Numbers loves this map, but this is Numbers' map. This is his map. And I'm guessing Grr doesn't know it very much because Grr did not veto this choice. So Numbers is going to be probably having a pretty easy time on this game, but we'll see. It should be very interesting to see what happens ultimately, but I'm guessing that this is probably going to be much more in favor of Numbers' playstyle than Village was. So let's start that game up. So here we have Hills coming in again. So, like I said, Grr has won Game 1. We're in Game 2. This is Game 2 of the Round of 16 of Numbers and Grrnonameleft at the Temporal Anomalies Season 1 tournament. And neither player has chosen their race yet. Looks like Grr is actually going Grekim this time, and Numbers, once again, is going Vecgir. So Numbers will be continuing his normal style, going for Vecgir, probably will be continuing his standard massive expansion style. So on the other hand, Grr will be, like I said, going for Grekim, which is a rather odd choice. Admittedly, Grekim was very powerful up until this last patch, but they got rebalanced a bit in the last patch, so I don't know how effective this choice of race switch will be. I don't know how much Grr has played Grekim, if he has a lot of experience with them, if he prefers them over Vecgir. So we'll see how it turns out for him, but it's an interesting choice. Generally, it's not advised in tournaments to change race or really make any big changes to playstyle at the tournament, especially in the middle of a game, or middle of a round of 3, because if you have one race in Game 1, one race in Game 2, I mean, we saw Haiku on Saturday pull it off with all 3 races, but that's still really tough to do, and actually he lost one of those games, so it's a tricky thing to pull off even twice that you need to do, let alone once. So, sorry, once, let alone twice. So, it's much harder to do it twice than to do it once. Doing it once is obviously easier. Now, Numbers looks to be building a lot of infantry. He seems like he might be doing his same strategy he did the last time, getting the proxy depot in the natural, but it looks like this is probably a fake. I mean, he might be doing it, but the Shinbir would probably have been building the foundation by now. The Shinbir is just hanging out there. There isn't a lot of resources. Yeah, it looks like it is a fake. The Shinbir and Tethvir are going to the north base. He might be trying to fake out Grr, make it seem like he's just attacking with that, and then build a proxy depot, but he's building a lot of RPs in the center. That looks like what his main proxy strategy is building a ton of LCRPs in the center of the map, getting a lot of Zion Veers. I'm guessing he's going to be building a lot of vehicles from those Zion Veers, getting them very early. It's an interesting idea. There's a common strategy, actually, to make a lot of Zion Pulsars early on. Try to get like 7 or 8 Zion Pulsars by minute 4, roughly, with teleportation, maybe 4.5, like 4 minutes, 30 seconds. But interestingly, Numbers seems to be going for it. Yeah, he's building the depot. It looks like he's going for it. He seems to be going for it from infantry first and then vehicles. Now, infantry building vehicles is a lot faster than vehicles being built from the depot directly, but that's only because the infantry front load the production time. But the thing is, the depot is able to produce in parallel, which means that for 5 or 6 vehicles being produced, it's faster to do it in the depot than it is to do it through the annex, unless you have 2 or 3 annexes, which is quite expensive. So it's an interesting idea. It will be easier to defend early game if he gets attacked, which may be what he's thinking, that he'll have the infantry to defend in case Octo Rush, which is common against Grekim, so it's not surprising that he's going for heavy Zion Veer at the start. But he probably won't have as many Zion Pulsars. It looks like he only has 6 Zion Pulsars coming up. So 4.5 minutes, 6 Zion Pulsars with some defense early on. An interesting idea, but I don't know how effective it is overall. I mean, like I said, it's a neat idea in terms of preparing for Octo Rushes if they happen, because Grekim is very fond of that, but I don't see it really being the best option, honestly. Because you can get, by this time, you can have 8, well, at least you could. I mean, there might have been changes in the last patch, but I don't think it changed anything to do with Zion Pulsars. You can have 8 Zion Pulsars with Skip Teleport around this time, if you built through the depot earlier on. So, an interesting idea. I don't really see the merit in it. But, anyway, an Octo is actually coming in to attack the center of the base, finding the center expansion that Numbers set up earlier on. So, Octos and Octobots coming in to try to deal with this. Advanced Rushers has been researched, so Grr is probably going to be getting some air units very quickly. I don't know if he's going to go for a Chronoport Rush, the typical Chronoport Rush strategy. He does have a Dome coming up, but it doesn't look like he has a Spire coming up. Actually, it looks like... Are his Seppi and Faro running off as well? I mean, it's hard to tell, but I think his Seppi and Faro actually stood up and started to leave the main base. However, that may have just been a mistake. He may have actually corrected that, and it may not ultimately happen, but... Still, rather odd. The Zion Pulsar's coming in to help defend. One of the RPs has been destroyed, another of the RPs is closed, or 2 of the RPs are closed. Actually 3, 2 on QP, 1 on LC. And from Numbers' point of view, he's dealing a lot of damage in Grr's base. From Grr's point of view, Numbers is defending the attack in the main. So Numbers, as far as he's concerned, is dealing a ton of damage to Grr, and Grr, as far as he's concerned, is defending against it pretty well. So since Grr is further in the past, he of course is going to have the final word on this, unless Numbers actually goes back and deals with this. However, Numbers has set up his attack to the main base. Grr is aware of this, but Numbers doesn't really have to spend any chrono energy on that. He's actually in the future right now. So it looks... Actually, no, on the other hand, Grr has actually sent some Octos down to the south of the map, and he might be going for either a main base attack or a flank attack. I'm not sure. A flank attack would be very, very effective against these Zion Pulsars, and that's where the main resource set is for Numbers, main RPs, but it will also be very tricky to go for an attack on the main base, which is pretty much undefended. The Zion Pulsars are focused entirely on assaulting Grrnonamelef's main base. So those Octos look like they're probably going to be going for a main base rush, but it's hard to tell. 3 of them actually are going to flank. So 3 of them are going to help flank out, and they've destroyed one of the Zion Pulsars, and another Zion Pulsar is going to get destroyed. Octobot is coming in. Grrnonameleft is taking full advantage of the fact that Zion Pulsars deal very huge splash damage, trying to basically make the Octopod get close enough to the Zion Pulsars destroy themselves, but I don't know how final that will be. I don't know if the Octos are actually going to continue to flank in future iterations, but it looks like no, this Octopod has focused more on the north, and Numbers will be able to take care of these Octos before they come south to deal with his forces. So Numbers seems to be overextending himself a little bit less with the Zion Pulsars. He had overextended himself before, and that was where that flanking came in. Or maybe not. No, his Zion Pulsars are being extended quite a bit, but the north forces have been destroyed. So the Octos to the north have been destroyed. The Octopod is being destroyed very handily, too. So Grr's defense is not going to be quite as effective as it was in the last iteration. Numbers managed to compensate for what Grr did, and Numbers is actually also researching auto defense himself and getting 4 more Zion Pulsars. So Numbers is taking advantage of his resources that he got in the meantime while he was defending his main center base, and also looks like he's expanding to the north as well, but it's hard to tell. And back when he sees the Octos are attacking the RPs. He's teleported a couple of the RPs north, but ultimately he looks like he loses the north QP RPs, but is able to deal a ton of damage to the main base, destroy the dome. The Reef is under heavy attack. This is at Grr's time. Back 2 minutes down, we see that Numbers is actually still... No, he still lost it. So, up again, down again. Up at Grrnonamelef's time, the Zion Pulsars are coming in. At Numbers' time, the Zion Pulsars are dealing with the Octos as they came in. So, right now, it looks like Numbers will still be able to go on a complete assault, will not have any problems dealing with this, and that will be very damaging for Numbers right now. because, I mean, Numbers, sorry, for Grr right now, because Numbers is in a much more solid position. However, Grr has come in with some Octos. They are dealing a lot of damage. It looks like the Design Pulsars, I think they actually are going to be jumping in and out of the depot. Yes, they are jumping in and out of the depot, and 2 Shin Turtles are coming up as well, so that auto attack, while Valiant, will not last long. The Design Pulsars are able to heal themselves up and get back in the fight without getting damaged too heavily. So these Octos coming in, this is about a half minute down from what we just saw. And yes, the Design Pulsars are prepared to attack the Octos coming in. The 5 Design Pulsars are in Grr's base as well, dealing a lot of damage. And so the Octos trying to attack, trying to help just stop any attacks coming in from Numbers, but Numbers is able to hold the line, throw his Design Pulsars back in the depot, and looks like Grr is just trying to exhaust Numbers' chrono energy, but Numbers isn't even paying attention to this point in time. So, Numbers back at his time, about 2 minutes after when we were looking, is dealing a ton of damage to Grr's base. As Jump Back is actually microing this as well, even better than it was before, so the Octos are being destroyed very handily, and it looks like Grr is going to be able to... This is the original 5 Design Pulsars, by the way. Not the 3 that were getting attacked by Octos. These are the 3 getting attacked by Octos, and yes, the base is completely defended, and more foundations have been built up as well. So Numbers is in a very solid position, Grr is in a very bad position. His apparent attempt to go for defense and then countering the overextension did not pay off. It's actually rather tricky to do with Grekim, especially if you're not going for a lot of air units. And it doesn't look like he has an Octo to pro-gen with, so he can't get Pharopods or Sepipods. So Grr, like I said, very curious choice to go for Grekim, but it doesn't look like it's paid off right now. And yeah, the Reef has been destroyed, and like you said, at Numbers' time, the base has been completely destroyed. This is right next to the border of the Unplayable Pass, too. I don't know what Grr can do. He's built up an Octopod, but I doubt it'll last long. More Design Pulsars and Teth Pulsar coming in as well for Numbers. And up, about 2 minutes up, it looks like he's pretty much destroyed the entire base. There's some RPs north of Grr's main base, but really those aren't going to help him out. So Grr is in a very bad spot, and back when Grr is just looking at the Unplayable Pass to make sure that there isn't anything he's done that hasn't resolved itself yet that'll save him, but no, it doesn't. Nope, Grr has pretty much decided, yep, this is the game. So that should be the surrender very shortly, a rather short game compared to the last one, and yes, so Grr has surrendered, so well done, Numbers. So that was 1-1, and now Game 3 will be going for 2 of them. And that was a really interesting game. I was honestly surprised at how that went. I was honestly surprised at the fact that Grr went for a Grekim. It's, like I said, a very generally bad idea to go for Grekim. Or just, well, go for Grekim. Yeah, bad idea to go for Grekim. They suck. No. Actually, Grekim's a really good race. But it's a bad idea to go for a race you're not familiar with, that you haven't practiced with, or just to switch races in general in the middle of a game. Because, really, there isn't much that's going to help you with that. The way it works, you have to pretty much have practiced that race in order to get everything working so you know what you need to do, but unfortunately that's really hard to pull off. So as it is, Grr is going to be having a bit of a harder time trying to get back here. I mean, it was an interesting idea, but it wasn't the best idea, and really, unless he had practiced, it wasn't going to pay off. So, since Grr lost, he was able to choose the map, but we do give every player 1 veto, and Grr originally chose Desecrated Temple, but that was vetoed very quickly by Numbers, so instead, Grr chose Frostbite, which is also, both maps are 4-player maps, but, of course, they support, like, every RTS game. You can play 2 players on a 4-player map, or any number of players on any map that supports at least that many players. So it's not a big deal. Frostbite has been the next map. It'll be very interesting, though, because it has 4 players. So it's not going to be a map quite like the other 2. The resources are spread out a bit more. There's 4 main bases instead of 2. And, of course, the resources are set up for 4 players. So Frostbite, while it has been tailored to allow for 2 players to fight while still having some resource tension, is going to be a lot more resource-heavy and resource-heavy, much more of a feast map than any of the others we had, even Hills, but not by much. Hills is probably still more of a feast map, but Frostbite is a bit more spread out. So we'll see how that pans out. Just start the game up. And so here we have Grr in the bottom left corner and Numbers in the top right corner. And so both playing cross positions right now. So, as you can say, this is a more spread out map. The resources, there's boxes of 4 in the center, and basically naturals off to the side as well, right next to the mains, on the center of each side of the map. So both players will have a fair amount of resources. It looks like Numbers is sending out some scouting forces, and Grr building up his economy, getting 4 LC, 1 QP. I'm not sure if he's going to get another LC or QP, while Numbers looks to be going for pretty much all LC except maybe 1 QP. He has 1 RP set up that he can choose between the two. And yeah, he has his scouting forces set up just to check every single start location. He doesn't know where Grr is yet, so he's got to figure that out first. And once he does, then he'll be able to attack that directly. But for now, he has no idea. Grr has not sent out any scouting forces yet, but Grr is actually focused on the present, which is about half a minute down from when we're looking. So Grr may very well be scouting out. He just hasn't had that updated yet. No time wave has come to propagate that. So, back at Grr's time, we see that he has in fact sent out some forces to scout a bit, but not as aggressively and as quickly as Numbers has, so Grr isn't going to know quite as quickly how spread out the players are. But that may not be a bad thing, because it is cross positions, which means that it's going to be the longest possible distance between start locations. So, because of that, it's going to be a bit easier for Numbers to spread out and expand across the map, because that's what he likes. As we've seen before, he really likes to expand across the map, just get every single expansion. So it'll be a bit easier for him to do that, but it'll also be easier for Grr to set up his defense and then build out from there. So Numbers has found Grr, or he probably has found Grr on the blue time wave. He knows the Tethvir has found something, and so Grr at the same time, I don't think he's actually known or found where Numbers is. Numbers has started expanding as well to the top-middle expansion, and also, like I said, he's sending Zion Veers across the entire map, while Grr has sent a Zion Veer to his natural, but nowhere else. And so right now, Numbers seems to be taking it, but like I said, this is overextension. So Numbers is still vulnerable. If Grr actually starts sending out some vehicles and really scouting around the map, getting skip teleport, and just jumping around the map, checking all the resource spots, and taking out any RPs that are at spots that don't belong to him, then that could go far in stopping Numbers from actually dealing any real damage and making use of the RPs he's building. Though, of course, it's still a bit tricky, but the RPs are expensive. So it's not like he's doing this for free, but it is something that will pay off for Numbers if Grr does not keep it in check. So right now, Grr does have a depot, and Numbers does not. Numbers is still on his annex. And about 2 minutes up, Numbers does build a depot, but when Grr is looking, Grr is the only one with a depot, so he's got one earlier. I don't know if he has any vehicles built up yet. Looking back at Numbers' time, Numbers hasn't seen... The green time will propagate that Grr has a depot, but Grr's depot is set up. Grr has another foundation set up, probably for an ACC. So that will be well set up to keep a lot of things... Like, basically, he will be set up very well to deal with this expansion-happy style of Numbers, provided he actually capitalizes on the fact that he has earlier tech and earlier units. If he doesn't build up any Zion Pulsars get skip teleport, or Zion Turters get skip teleport, though I'd recommend Zion Pulsars just because they're cheaper and you can get a larger number of them to spread out across the map. Zion Turters are great for harassment, but they are a bit ineffective when it comes to trying to get a large number of them to spread out. Zion Pulsars, on the other hand, are cheaper, you can get more of them, you can spread them out better. But it doesn't look like he's going for either right now. And back about Grr's time again, we see that the depot has been built for Numbers, and Grr has not taken advantage of his depot. He has built auto defense, but actually Numbers has Halcyon class back in his time, which is about 2 minutes up from Grr. So Numbers looks to be setting up for possibly a Calm Jam attempt of his own. Not sure, that's often what Vecgir players use Halcyon class for, get Zion Halcyon and specials. We saw that in Game 1. And so that will be a possible strategy. He has the Zion Pulsars coming in with the Zion Veers. Back at Grr's time, it looks like Grr might be finally actually building something. He has the depot building up. He's getting attacked at Numbers' time, about 3 minutes up from when he's looking. But Grr was focusing on the UPP. I don't know if he was trying to build up vehicles right next to the UVP go for a delayed attack and make it hard for Numbers to counter, but it's hard to really tell. Grr, however, has seen that Numbers is starting to expand to that box of 4 near his main. He might be noticing the other expansions as well, and that's going to be a problem. Sein Halcyon has been built, so, well, further in the future, Sein Halcyon will be built, and that will be a possible vector for Calm Jam, like I mentioned before. Sein Pulses we saw before, teleporting into Grr's base, destroying the infantry that are there. No vehicles coming in yet. However, Grr is going to build vehicles back at his time, building some Sein Pulsers to actually attack with. No skip teleport, though, oddly enough, but he's gone for Sein Pulsers at any rate. He knows about the expansion, knows about one of the expansions, not the other 3, but he knows about one. And so the top left, top center, and I think the center left, the center top left have been taken by, definitely at Numbers' time they've been taken by Numbers. So Numbers has at least 4 expansions at his time and at least 3 expansions at Grr's time, but Grr is going to try to take out one of them. Sein Pulsers have not come in yet, though, to attack the expansion. They actually aren't. They're still hanging out around the natural, or around the top, or the bottom left center expansion for Grr. Like I said, they're driving along. They aren't actually teleporting, which is kind of odd. But a Shinvir has built up a foundation in another proxy foundation, actually, for Grr. So Grr is trying to basically pull off what Numbers did last game, except a bit closer to the UPP. And really just not going for the initiative. It may not be a bad idea. This is one of those things where you want the last word more than you want the initiative. And just for those who are wondering, that's basically meaning that you want to have it done closer to the past than farther in the future. But Grr seems to be going for exactly that. Trying to get... He's got his Sein Pulsers down here, taking out the expansion quite handily. However, that has probably already paid for itself. And there are other expansions, so while it is a bit of a problem for Numbers, it isn't the biggest deal. He does have a lot of other resource streams coming in. Shin Turcher, however, has found another expansion and is starting to take that out. So Numbers' overexpansion has been scouted out by Grr. So Grr knows at least 2 of the expansions. He probably suspects that other expansions have been taken as well. He hasn't gone to attack them yet. And now Sein Pulsers have started to defend, teleporting around, trying to avoid... teleporting to spread out to avoid the Sein Pulsar splash from Grr. And Grr has not countered by moving his own Sein Pulsers. So Numbers will be able to win this battle quite handily with some really nice teleport positioning. And teleporting around just to make sure he stays away from the main force of Grr. So from Numbers' time, he will be able to take care of this. But Grr is setting up himself a bit better to defend when the attack actually comes in. And that's going to be a bit easier to defend if he actually pulls it off. Shin Turcher has decided to change its course instead of going... Unless that's... No, he's changed the course of that Shin Turcher to help out in the main attack with the Sein Pulsers. So that will be able to turn the tide, and Grr should be able to win this fight pretty handily with the Sein Pulsers. Numbers may be deciding to switch, have the Sein Pulsers go straight into Grr's base and harass from there. But it looks like at least one of the Sein Pulsers is up against the Shin Turcher and will not last very long at all. The other Sein Pulsar has been reduced to a Sein Veer and will probably be killed momentarily, although we were jumped around a bit. But yes, probably will be killed very quickly, so that Sein Pulsar will not do much at all. Sein Pulsars are trying to teleport around to get close to the other Sein Pulsars. I should say, Numbers of Sein Pulsars trying to teleport closer to Grr's Sein Pulsars, but Grr has more Sein Pulsars, more forces in general, so he's been able to completely obliterate that expansion and take it over for himself with the Foundation. And at the same time, it looks like Grr is expanding... He hasn't actually expanded much more to the bottom middle expansion. And just checking that Sein Halcyon hasn't actually done much yet. The depot actually isn't building much either. Numbers is sitting on a fair amount of resources. He does have Gate Tech being researched, though. He has Halcyon class, he has specials, so it looks like his main strategy is going to be to try to chronoport back that Sein Halcyon, probably near the unplayable past, chronoport it, teleport it into Grr's main base, and set off a Calm Jam, stopping any production for all these units that have been used for Grr to assault the main base of Numbers, or assault this natural of Numbers, the 4-box natural. And if this is pulled off, it'll actually work out really well. But Numbers needs to do it quickly. Like, he's focused a bit more near the present, which is about 2 minutes up from when we're looking. But he really needs to focus near the unplayable past right now, because this is the opportunity he has to go back and actually Calm Jam the buildings before they become useful, before they actually build these units that are assaulting him right now. And if he does that, then he should be able to turn this around. But right now, he's in a very bad spot. All he has is Sein Halcyon and a bunch of resources around the map. But his main base is in the middle. Not in the middle, sorry. Is in his base. That's all he has. He just has the expansions and nothing to defend them. His Sein Halcyon is getting heavily attacked. And Grr, from his point of view, has pretty much destroyed the Zion Halcyon. Shin Churcher, Zion Pulsar, and a bunch of infantry coming in will be able to handily take care of this, but I'm sure that Numbers is going to go back and change this around. And yes, Numbers has lost Zion Halcyon at Grr's time. Numbers closer to the present. I'm not sure what he's doing with that. Grr is expanding himself to his natural, but has been stopped by a Shinvir deployed by Numbers in the south. So Grr is still a bit behind in terms of economy. His resource flow is lower, but he does have much larger setup. He has a much more secure setup, more defensible setup, but he doesn't have as much coming in. And this Zion Halcyon, definitely a high priority target, does need to be destroyed as quickly as possible because Numbers is able to get away with chronoporting that, or even just teleporting that and calm jamming the main base. It's going to be hard to deal with. But if he's able to chronoport that backwards, then destroy the main base, that's going to be nearly impossible. And 2 Teth Pulsars have come in to try to deal with these Shin Churchers, and I'm thinking they might actually be able to turn the tide. May not be able to kill them because that's pretty powerful bombers there, but they might be able to actually turn the tide a bit. And if they damage the Shin Pulsars, sure, the Shin Churchers enough, the Zion Halcyon may be able to survive this. And it looks like one of the Shin Churchers has actually retreated, trying to avoid getting itself killed, and I think a slipgate, yes, a slipgate is being built, so Numbers will actually be able to chronoport back that Zion Halcyon quite quickly. And I think he probably already has back at his time. He's probably already chronoported it back, and that will be very powerful if he pulls it off. But it's hard to tell yet whether he's done that. The Zion Halcyon has been destroyed from the looks of it, if it hasn't been chronoported back. It is taking heavy damage. It will be able to carry the Shin Churcher, so ultimately the Zion Halcyon will survive, but it really should get back into that depot and start healing itself and before it goes for that attack, because otherwise that's going to be a problem. So, right now, Grrnonameleft has, and this is right next to Playable Pass, Grr has 2 sets of foundations, pretty much 2 complete bases, and it looks like Numbers has no Zion Halcyon back at his time. My guess is that it was chronoported back, but it's hard to tell. He has more Zion Veers to set up more Zion Pulsars and Zion Halcyons if he wants to, but he hasn't gone and done that yet. It doesn't look like any comm jam has occurred or any Zion Halcyons actually around here anywhere. So unless that's on an earlier time wave, it doesn't look like anything's been built yet. So here we have the Zion Halcyon is further in the past, and yes, it has been chronoported back. The slipgate is recharging, so a chronoport has occurred. A Shin Halcyon is actually coming up, but it should get off the ground. Come on, get off the ground, Shin Halcyon, because otherwise you're going to get killed by that Shin Churcher very quickly. But anyway, that's a bit further in the past. Back when we are, it looks like, yes, Numbers is focusing further in the past by bookmark 3, the little 3 in the timeline there, and checking that out, yes, the Zion Halcyon has been chronoported back. The chronoportee Zion Halcyon is being sent towards base and will comm jam, but Numbers has jumped away before the comm jam propagated, so we will find that out once it gets propagated by the blue time wave. But that is going to be very powerful, so that blue time wave is basically propagating Grrnonameleft being heavily weakened, losing a lot of his production capacity, while Numbers is now building a ton of Zion Halcyons, has a Shin Halcyon as well, back when he is, and he's going to be able to deal a lot of damage since the main base of Grrnonameleft is not able to produce anything, and I think that he probably also may have comm jammed the expansion base as well of Grr's. It's better to tell though. Let's see, well, nothing's going on there. Yeah, a Zion Halcyon was there, so he probably did comm jam. Let's see. Zion Halcyon has no energy, so yes, a comm jam was set off. So the depot comm jam has not been propagated yet, but, like I said, blue time wave. But the expansion base has been comm jammed, and so that will be very problematic. Right now, all Grr can really do is try to build a Teth Churcher, because I don't know how he's going to do that. He needs a Teth Churcher, recover the comm jam. The thing he could do is, really, he has some Shin Churchers. If he gets those killed, then they'll become Shin Veers. And the Shin Veer will be able to build a foundation, and then the foundation will be able to be used to build a depot and an annex and all that stuff, and get an aerial control center, get a Teth Churcher, because that's what is absolutely necessary right now. Right now, basically Grr has, well, not quite right now, the blue time wave will carry Grr having everything being comm jammed. He will not be able to use squat. So that will be a big problem for him. He needs to be able to take care of that. He needs to be able to deal with that. And the blue time wave is just passing Grr's timeline right now. And let's see, we have main base there is of Numbers. There are more Zion Halcyons coming in. And it looks like, yes, there has been a comm jam going on. The Zion Halcyon right there dealing a lot of damage to the RPs, or to the annex. And that has been comm jammed. So Grr is completely comm-jammed. And looks like Grr's going to have a very hard time dealing with this. He has no Teth Turchers. He needs to build Teth Turcher, like I said. Get his Shin Turcher killed, get the Shin Veer to eject, make a foundation. That might just work. I mean, it's a risky strategy because it does involve getting a unit killed, and he doesn't have a lot of units to actually kill the Shin Turcher with. But who knows, it might work out. However, Zion Halcyon and Shin Halcyon are inside Grr's base, just cleaning up because now Grr has nothing to work with. He has whatever units he has fielded right now, and that's it. Unless, like I said, he can get a Shin Veer. So, it looks like there is really nothing going on in Grr's favor right now. Grr has, he has a Zion Pulsar, he has a Shin Turcher, he has a bunch of bricks, bunch of comm-jam buildings doing absolutely nothing, and I don't know what exactly Grr could do besides, like I said, get that Shin Veer. Looks like there's, I think that Zion Pulsar got killed, or at least got knocked down to a Zion Veer. And, yeah, for Numbers, however, Numbers has a ton of Halcyon class units. Teth Halcyon, Zion Halcyon, Shin Halcyons. He's floating a ton of resources, too, and he still hasn't spent it all. And he's using them to playable pass, but Chrono brings stuff back. So the Shin Turcher is going to be attacking. There's another, looks like a Shin Veer on the ground, I think. That might be a Zion Veer. And the Shin Turcher is back at Grr's time. Going to be assaulted very heavily by a bunch of Halcyon class units, just cleaning up this expansion foundation set. And yes, it is a Zion Veer. So the Shin Turcher is going to be quite heavily damaged. It doesn't look like it's actually going to be attacking anything else, though. It's getting attacked very heavily by the Halcyon class. It's going back, and it looks like there isn't much more it's going to do with it. I mean, that Shin Turcher is not going to be able to take care of all his Halcyon class units on its own. So I don't know if he's going to be making a foundation off that. He has his main base completely destroyed. The Zion Veer actually looks like it is it going towards the Shin Turcher? Yeah, it's got an objective line to the Shin Turcher. I think he's using the Zion Veer to attack the Shin Turcher and finish it off. I think Grr has actually had the same idea I have. So that will be very effective if he's able to hide the foundation well enough. But I don't know if where he's going to put the foundation if he actually does what I'm thinking. He's going to be very careful with it because Numbers has the units he needs to scout around the map and find that foundation. So he's going to have to be quick about it. If not, then that's going to be a problem. And yes, the Shin Veer is building a foundation, but he's building it right in the center of the map on the north side, and that's not going to work out very well at all. That is probably going to be scouted out in a hurry, and if Grr is lucky, he might be able to get away with building a depot, an annex, and an ACC, but that is going to be very tight, and I seriously doubt he's going to get away with that, because Numbers knows that a Shin Turcher was just killed, and the Shin Veer would pop up, and that foundations could be conceivably popping up out of that. So he knows what to look for. He has plenty of time to find it. I mean, the entire time in the future, if he knows that it's there at some time, he knows he can attack it. So an annex is coming up, and a depot is coming up, an ACC will likely be coming up very soon. And at this point, really, a Teth Turcher is moot. He doesn't need it anymore because his base has been completely wiped out. What he needs just right now is an army again. Whatever he can get. Teth Pulsars, Zion Pulsars, whatever. As long as he can get an army out, he'll be fine, but I don't know if he'll be able to do that even. This depot has been scouted out. Numbers has found it with Shin Halcyon, has been completely scouted out, so Grr is pretty much out of this tournament, I think. I don't see him being able to do anything more. He might be able to switch around, build a foundation elsewhere, but Numbers has pretty much scouted it out. So, valiant effort by Grr to come back, but it looks like Grr's efforts have been spotted. The Shin Halcyon did teleport away, but it's not a big deal. I mean, that's not going to make a difference at all. That Shin Halcyon knows where it is. Numbers knows where it is. He can go back and take care of it at his leisure. So, that foundation is pretty much doomed. The rest of the foundations are all pretty much doomed. They're all locked out. There's nothing Grr can do right now. There really isn't anything he can do. I mean, he can't... The best he can do is maybe throw RPs at his opponent, and he can't really do that. So, yeah, that's pretty much game. Very well done from both players. Very, very neat little comeback attempt by Grr. Very impressive comeback by Numbers, and that was the game. That was the whole match. So that was very interesting, and it looks like that is the game. Numbers has won the round of 16 match for this. Yeah, round of 16 match for this group. So, very well done from both players. Numbers wins, and that was really interesting. I'm quite impressed to see Numbers pull that out. So there's a lot of back and forth. I mean, both players really were pushing out, really were trying to do their best, and doing a lot of damage to each other. And really, I'm quite surprised how it turned out in the end. But Numbers has had more experience recently. I'm not totally surprised that Numbers won. It's just the way he managed to win was very impressive nonetheless. A lot of games where he just pulled out just Chronoport. And that game, I think he probably had the Chronoport plan from the start, to be honest. But still, that was pretty impressive. So, well done. That is the round of 16. So we'll have the round of 8 coming up on Saturday. And so, very likely we will have the players actually here this time. And so this will likely be Haiku versus Elliot N, followed by Alfie and Numbers, then Google Frog and Torben, finally Dark Vortex and Schalke. So that should be very exciting. There's a lot of really good players playing in the next match. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Numbers plays out in the round of 16. I'm not sure, I've never really seen Alfie play much recently, so that will also be very interesting to see. And other than that, there really isn't much more to say. So thank you everyone for having watched this little second day of the round of 16, and I hope to see you watching the round of 8, the quarterfinals, coming up on Saturday, and the semis and finals will be broadcast on Saturday, August the 20th. July has already passed. So it happens when you play time travel game for too long is you forget that time is linear and that months don't happen. I mean, okay, months obviously do happen over and over again, but July 2011 is gone forever, barring my acquisition of a Chronoporter. And so, yeah, August 20th, that is the semis and the finals. And then that will be Temporal Anomalies Tournament Season 1. We will be having future seasons afterwards, so that should work out pretty well. Hopefully it will be very enjoyable for everyone. And we should hopefully get these scheduling kinks also worked out. There's a lot of little kinks, like I said. This is the first time we've done this. There's a lot of little kinks going on. Please bear with us for all these technical issues. And thankfully today went along really well, so that was nice. And hopefully it will continue to go well for the rest of the tournament. So thank you everyone for watching, and have a good night.